You don't need another motivational quote, and you need a reality check that hits hard enough to actually change what you do tomorrow morning. Because the truth is, most people, you know, aren't stuck because life is unfair. They're stuck because they've gotten comfortable being average and calling it waiting for the right time. And that's right there never that right time never shows up. It just quietly gets replaced by regret. And if that sounds harsh, that's good, because this is the wake up call most people avoid until it's too late. And by then, the cost isn't just money or missed opportunities, it's years of your life you don't get back, relationships you don't or you didn't build, skills you didn't develop, and chances you didn't take. And the worst part is knowing deep down you could have done more but chose not to. And nobody wants to admit that. So instead of people distract themselves or they scroll endlessly, they blame circumstances or they convince themselves they're working on it, and when in reality they're just circling the same habits that just keep them stuck. And if you're honest for a second, you already know exactly what you've been avoiding, and you know the discipline you lack, the excuse you repeat, and the goals you keep pushing off, and the version of yourself you keep postponing. And that's where this wake up call starts, because change doesn't come from learning something new. It comes from finally deciding you're done tolerating the version of your life that isn't good enough. And that decision is uncomfortable. It forces you to face the gap between what you say and what you want and what your actions prove you actually want. And most people never close that gap because closing it requires consistency, and when you don't feel like it, an effort when nobody's watching, and patience when results aren't immediate. And that's exactly where people quit, not because it's impossible, but because it's inconvenient. And inconvenience is a silent killer of potential, because it tricks you into thinking tomorrow will be easier when in reality, tomorrow is just a today repeated. And if today wasn't good enough, tomorrow won't be either, unless you change something. And that's the part nobody can do for you. There's no video, there's no hook, there's no mentor can override your daily choices. They can guide you though, but they can't execute for you. And execution is everything, because ideas without actions are just entertainment, and a lot of people consume content like this just to feel productive without actually doing anything. And that's dangerous because it gives you the illusion of progress, and you feel motivated for a moment, but then nothing changes, and over time that pattern kills your confidence, because you start to see yourself as someone who starts but never finishes, someone who plans but never commits, or and once that identity sets in, it becomes even harder to break. So the wake up call is this: your life is a reflection of your standards, not your intentions. And if your standards are low, your results will match. Even if your goals sound big, and raising your standards isn't about saying you want more, it's about refusing to accept less. And it's about, setting a line and actually holding it, even when inconvenience and even when nobody blames you for slipping, because that's where real world growth happens, in the moment where you could quit and don't. And those moments stack, they build discipline, and discipline builds freedom, which is the opposite of what most people think. And they think discipline restricts them, but in reality, the lack of discipline traps you. It traps you in cycles of inconsistency, financial stress, poor health, and unrealized potential. While discipline opens the doors, it gives you control over your time, your energy, and your direction. And that's the control is what creates options. And options are what most people say they want, but they don't want the process that creates them. They want the outcome without the effort. And that's not how this works, because every result has a price. And the question is whether you're willing to pay it up front, or through effort, or later through regrets. And regret is always more expensive because it compounds over time. It grows heavier the longer you carry it. And eventually it turns into that quiet voice that says, you could have been more. And that's a hard voice to live with. So instead of waiting for that, you use this moment at the turning point, not in a dramatic overnight transformation, but in a clear decision to start operating differently, to stop negotiating with your excuses, to stop lowering the bar when things get hard, and start to do things that you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's where identity is built, not in motivation, but in repetition. And repetition doesn't care about your mood, it cares about your commitment. And if your commitment is conditional, your results will be too. You'll make progress when it's easy and stall when it's not. And that cycle keeps you average. So breaking it requires a shift from feeling driven action to value driven action, meaning you act based on what matters, not what feels good in the moment. And that's a skill you build over time, but it starts with awareness, catching yourself when you're about to default to easy options and choosing differently. And even if it's small, because small, consistent changes, they beat the big, inconsistent efforts every time. And that's another trap people fall into. They wait for the perfect plan and the perfect timing and the perfect burst of motivation. And while they wait, nothing happens. And months pass, then years, and suddenly they're looking back wondering where the time went. But time didn't disappear, it was spent on things that didn't move them forward. And that's the real cost. Not just wasted hours, but lost momentum, because momentum is powerful. And once you build it, things get easier. Habits become automatic. Progress compounds. But getting started is the hardest part. And that's why the wake up call matters. Because it pushes you to start now, not later, and not when you feel ready, because you'll never feel fully ready. Readiness is created through action, not before it. And every day you delay, you reinforce the habit of delay. You train yourself to hesitate, to overthink, to stay comfortable. And that's training shapes your future, whether you realize it or not. So if you want a different future, you need a different training. And that training is your daily behavior. What you do when nobody's watching you, how you respond when things don't go your way, and how quickly you get back on track after slipping. Because slipping will happen. Nobody's perfect, but the difference is in the response. Do you use it as an excuse or quit as a signal to adjust and keep going? And that choice defines your trajectory. Because success isn't about never failing, it's about refusing to stay down. And that resilience is built through repetition, just like any other skill. And over time, it changes how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. And that identity shift is everything. Because once you believe you're someone who executes, your action is aligned with that. And your results follow. And suddenly, the things that felt impossible, they start to feel normal. Not because they got easier, but because you got stronger, more consistent, more disciplined. And that's the real transformation, not some external milestone, but an internal upgrade in how you operate. And that upgrade is available to you right now, not someday, not when circumstances change, but today, with choices you make after this moment, because information without action is useless. And if this just becomes another thing you listen to and move on from, nothing changes. But if you take it seriously, if you actually apply it, even in a small way, it can be the start of something different. And that's the point of a wake up call, not to make you feel good, but to make you act, to disrupt the pattern you've been stuck in and replace it with something better, something intentional, something aligned with life you actually want. And that life isn't built in one big moment, it's built in thousands of small ones. Decisions that seem insignificant on their own, but compound over time, but something meaningful. And you're either building towards that or away from it every single day. There's no neutral. And once you understand that, you stop wasting time pretending you can stay the same and expect different results. You accept that change is required and you take responsibility for making it happen. And that responsibility isn't a burden, it's an opportunity, because it means you're not stuck. It means you're in control, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if the progress is slow, even if setbacks happen, you still have the ability to choose your next move. And that's all you need. Not certainty, not perfection, just the willingness to keep choosing better over and over again until it becomes who you are. And when that happens, everything changes. Not overnight, but inevitably. Because consistent effort applied over time always produces results, always. And the only question is whether you'll commit long enough to see them or quit early and wonder what could have been. And that's the choice in front of you right now. Keep doing what you've been doing and get more of the same, or step up, raise your standards, and start building something better. And if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Not some dramatic moment, just a clear message that it's time to stop delaying and start doing, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets, and the more you risk becoming comfortable with a life that doesn't fulfill you. And once that comfort sets in, it's hard to break, so don't let it. Use this moment, make the decision, and back it up with action. Don't, and not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because this isn't about motivation, it's about responsibility. And once you take that seriously, everything else starts to fall into place, and one decision at a time, one action at a time, and one day at a time, until the life you once thought about becomes the life you're actually living. Thanks for watching today. If you found value in today's video, please subscribe. Without your subscription, I can't grow this channel, and I desperately need subscriptions to be able to grow and stay here on this platform. So subscription would be appreciated if you found value in this video. Also, check out this video to the right. It could also help you on your mental health journey. Oh man, there's a burp. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.